Away, profligates. I am Wolpace and Colta. Welcome to this panel at Tucson Comic-Con. Don't worry, I won't have you lashed to a cross like the rest of the degenerates I've seen today. It's useful that you happened by. I want you to learn what you... Seagreed, my bad. I want you to... Oh my god.
Seagreed. Them. Okay. Cool. This is all a first for us. Okay.
Yay!
So, disclaimer, she's never been on a panel before, and we got her yesterday. Disclaimer, she's never attended a Comic-Con before, and we got her last week. So, we're doing proof of concept. This is an idea we've had 2 years in the making. I pulled the trigger, applied, and so we're going to see what you all think about this panel. And if you like it, we're going to make it bigger and better. If you don't like it, tell us what we did wrong to make it better. And so we'll go ahead and start. I'm Mr. Chris, you see that over there. I've cosplayed for a number of years, 501st, Fallout, generic cosplay. But I'm also, in the real world, I'm a public affairs officer for the United States Navy, but more importantly, I'm also a PhD candidate in Holocaust and Genocide Studies, focusing on foundations of genocide, and my case studies are Jim Crow America and the Holocaust. And one of the things I've always thought is, how can we use pop culture to teach about genocide? And I bounced it off of my boss, Dr. Christy Yoder.
And nobody calls me doctor. I don't go by titles, so just Christy. I am a fellow PhD student, so it's the second one for me. And as he said, the executive director of the Center for Genocide Research and Education. And my focus is on genocide prevention.
All right. You might want to click.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
So first of all, before we can have a discussion about genocide, we need to define genocide. So Raphael Lemkin, which is the really cool looking guy you see there on TV, had this idea in the late 30s of a crime, and he put it together and he named his crime, which he had said before that was the nameless crime, genos, group from the Greek, and sige, death from Latin, and he basically wrote a law or a thesis on group murder. And so we'll go through a couple of the articles real quick.
Yeah, but first, I want to ask you guys, when you think of genocide, how would you define it? Like, what is it?
Group murder of a type of individual.
That's pretty good.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
good. Anybody else have an idea?
Yeah.
Death of both individuals within a group as well as the culture surrounding it.
Ah,
Interesting.
Yeah, back here.
I was just gonna go with a specifically targeted group of individuals.
Okay, so actually you guys have just pinged on Article 2. So I'll cover Article 1 real quick, and that was simply saying anybody who signs the convention agrees that genocide is bad. So anybody who signs it says genocide is bad. That's pretty obvious. Article 2 is where we all started getting together. The first part of Article 2 lays out the protected groups. There are 4 protected groups under the Genocide Convention: national, ethnical, racial, and religious.
But I want to throw something in here, Chris.
So-
Because you mentioned cultural. So Raphael Lemkin, when he originally defined genocide, culture and political groups were part of that. And then when they put the Genocide Convention together, countries like the USSR at the time, Britain, the United States said, no, you can't have culture in there because then we'll get charged for what we did. And the Soviet Union said the same thing. You can't have political groups because we've done that, so we don't want to get charged.
So you were right. Well, technically you are right. That's still Raphael Lemkin's original idea. So we all agreed that you have to have a specific targeted group, and we named those 4 things. The next thing is they have to, the perpetrators have to do one of 5 crimes or 5 acts, and that is killing, causing bodily or mental harm, deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction,
So like starvation,
starvation,
cutting off water,
preventing births, and forcibly transferring children from one group to another. Everything after that is just how to implement this in the court systems and things and the ratification process. Any questions on the legal definition of genocide before we keep going?
Yeah.
Was it later changed at all to include stuff like gender and other aspects of identity, or is it still just those four?
This is all you.
Legally, yes. So legally, yes. However, during the Rwandan genocide, because men and women experienced genocide differently, and during the Rwandan genocide, there was a lot of sexual violence, and so the International Criminal Tribunal at that time said sexual violence is an act of genocide. So it's not in the convention, but there is now case law that says, yeah.
Unfortunately, we probably won't have any part of the convention ever rewritten because it was hard enough to get it signed in 1948, and we know where the world is today. So we won't be able to do that. All right, so what's next?
Well, I guess I could.
Oh, this is our favorite argument
Yeah, we argue a lot.
about this exact phrase right here. So one of the biggest things about defining genocide is why does it even matter, okay? And so I love this phrase, are we trying to write a book or are we trying to catch a crook? So if you're gonna catch a crook, you have to follow the law, you have to follow everything in the law, otherwise the judge is gonna throw it out, right? Because you didn't meet the intent of the law. Or maybe we're trying to write a book, we're gonna take an aspect of genocide, like sexual trauma, and we want to expand on that to kind of grow our understanding, and maybe that will help case law later. But do you think it might be something else?
I do, because I focus on prevention. Like, isn't that the ultimate goal? We want to keep this from ever happening again. And if you only look at the law, then you're catching it after the fact. So I think we need to also prevent it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hence our argument, as it's written today, you can only charge genocide after the fact. So you can't use the conventions to stop it, the way it's written, as it is. So in her field, we're looking at ways to break down what's happening before it happens.
But they do try to use the convention
Yes.
to stop it.
Yes.
But where everybody gets hung up is you have to have intent. You have to intend
Yes.
to do that.
Which is intent, and the act itself is going to become important here soon.
Yes.
All right. This is you. What do we look for?
So, I mean, there are a lot of things that can indicate that genocide might be happening, but I'm just gonna talk about four, because they're ones that you'll see in popular culture. So we have us versus them, so that's polarization. There's like, we're good, you're not, you're bad. Discrimination, and we have dehumanization, so that's like calling people vermin or a cockroach.
Infestation, disease,
Yeah.
Degenerate.
And persecution.
That's it. Oh, I love this. This is our other big argument. So what's fun is in the field, there is a lot of definitional differences of opinion. And so that's what we want to try and get out with you today, that ultimately the answer is going to come out in court. So what we're going to teach you today is we're basically going to play jury in court. So we're going to see if we can find it out. I'm going to let you kick it off with mass atrocity because that's all you.
Okay, so.
Not saying you did.
Yeah, so, like I said, states or governments, a lot of times when they're looking at a situation, this happened in Rwanda, it happened in Bosnia, they'll say, oh, it's bad, but that's not genocide because we don't see intent. And so they'll argue like, oh, we don't have a document, which that's not the only way to prove it, but that's what they'll say. And it's a way for them to not have to do anything. So scholars are starting to move away from that term and lump everything under the umbrella term mass atrocity. And in international law, that includes genocide, ethnic cleansing, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. And intent is still an issue, but the bar is lower.
Right. And genocide really is still considered the crime of crimes, but I would argue, can anyone rank suffering? You can't. It's all terrible. My issue with this is sometimes in war, you have collateral damage, and it happens. You have people in between two armies, and sadly, they take some damage. And the Genocide Convention does not address that, but international court does. So under humanitarian law, you have the law of armed conflict, which says generally what the two militaries have to do to protect civilians and mitigate as much as possible their deaths. So there have been times where a large number of civilians were killed and they tried to charge genocide or mass atrocity, and it's an unfortunate accident. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So before I
Yeah.
click to the next slide, I want to ask you guys, can you think of real world examples of genocide that have like happened in our history?
Palestine.
Palestine. That's,
Well, it is
it's
being,
being debated
Right now,
Yeah.
it's just skulls.
The debate is heavily weighted. So-
I was gonna say the Armenian genocide.
Oh, very good.
Whoa.
We had that on our slide at one point. You're only the second person today that's mentioned it.
I'm curious, how do you know about the Armenian genocide?
I've had a wealth of Armenian friends who have kept me informed.
Okay, okay. How about another one? We got two. Yeah.
The Holocaust?
Yeah.
Holocaust, absolutely. That's considered the exemplar because that's what motivated Raphael Lemkin to put together his studies on genocide. And that's where we developed a lot of them.
It's not.
It's not?
It's not.
Ah,
Lemkin actually developed the concept of genocide in response to Armenia.
boom.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Learned something new.
You did?
I did. Some other ones that may have happened recently in almost everyone's lifetime is Bosnia, and you may have heard of Rwanda. So those are a couple more of the big ones that people are tracking.
Can I ask,
Okay? Huh? What?
can I ask,
Yeah.
was the Indonesia one a genocide as well?
Yes, and you're talking about, I think it's Bangladesh, right? Or,
The massacre of Chinese immigrants in Indonesia.
oh, yes, yes.
Myanmar?
No, shoot, this is a past one, right? You're talking,
Yeah.
you're talking about, like, it was like in the 70s, I think. Yeah,
Ah.
yes, I know which one, yes, that is classified as a genocide.
There we go. Wow. I learned something else today.
You did?
Wow, okay. Here's a really big important slide. Who can be prosecuted and who can prosecute? I'm gonna kick this off with only people can be prosecuted. You cannot prosecute a country because a country is an inanimate object, right? You can't prosecute a microphone. A country is a land mass. It has people in it, but the country itself is not prosecutable. There's nothing you can do to hold it accountable. So genocide or any of these other crimes can only be addressed at a person, which brings up the question, is the foot soldier gonna get charged? Or is the general gonna get charged? Or is the leader of the country gonna get charged? And that's why I toss it to you.
Yeah, so it depends. A lot of times they'll have the International Criminal Court will come in, and that's like an international thing, and you can see why that might be good, because you don't want the people in the country who, maybe they were the victims, you don't necessarily want them in charge of the prosecution, because just of the way that it looks. Or if a country's still like under control by people that were sympathetic to the perpetrators, you don't want them, so that's one. But also, the country itself can prosecute it if they decide to. They have to request the International Criminal Court to come in. But sometimes what they do is they say, we want you to come in, but we want to maintain control of it. And so that's what happened in Cambodia. Like, the Cambodian government collaborated with the International Criminal Court. And then in Rwanda, for the foot soldiers, they used the local courts. So when the International Criminal Court prosecutes, they only go for the very top people, because they don't have the time and the resources to do everybody.
Okay, so it is possible
Yeah,
to prosecute everybody,
yeah,
depending on who prosecutes.
yeah.
All right,
Let's get to the fun stuff.
yes. Before we go on
I have a
to-
question.
Yeah,
Yes,
What if you're a soldier and you're following direct orders?
we're about to talk about that.
Okay.
We're about to talk about that. So, and that's a good question. Does anyone have any questions about what we've covered so far about genocide, the definitions, protected groups, the 5 acts? We're ready to jump into case studies? Case study number 1, season 2, episode 8, called Identity of the Orville. Has anyone watched Orville? Some? Okay. It's funny. It's really good. So the little TV guide blurb says, When Isaac shuts down, the crew heads to his home planet to fix him and uncover a shocking secret that was better off hidden. So Isaac is a mechanical being, sort of like an android on their crew, and he just shuts down. And so they get there, and that's Isaac's people over there on the side with the red eyeballs and not looking very friendly. And while they're trying to get Isaac fixed, some of them go for a walk. They're just kind of sightseeing, exploring the planet. And beneath the city surface, they found a massive ossuary. So think of a gigantic burial site. And it had millions and maybe billions of skeletons piled everywhere. What had happened is the Kalons, that's this mechanical race, decided that the organic creatures on their planet may try to subjugate them and may try to force them into servitude, because they were originally designed as work droids, right? Working robots and things like that. And they became self-aware, and then they said, you know what? We're being used as forced labor. What else could they do to us? So the Kalines turned around and destroyed everything on their planet that had a carbon atom. So they wiped out everything, and they just dumped all the corpses in this big hole so that they wouldn't have them laying around. And so this brings up the term subaltern genocide, where the oppressed and victimized group will employ genocidal strategies themselves against their oppressors. And this brings up the question, is it self-defense because they were oppressed, or are they themselves genocideers, meaning people who start genocide? What do you all think?
It's both. It's genocidal methods of self-defense. It's not a very good method of self-defense, morally, and it's very extreme and kind of unnecessary.
Okay.
But it's still defense from the first, action,
Sir, how do you think a court would rule in this case? Would it be genocide, or would it be called self-defense? Just curious for what you would think.
I'm going to guess, I want to say what the court might think and what I would think. I think it's genocide.
Uh-huh.
It's still genocide. It might be, I guess, did we have some sort of, part of the definition wasn't some sort of motivation, right?
Yes.
So I suspect it's genocide.
Okay, and yes, this is our first case is a simple case of genocide, although subaltern, where the oppressed people use genocide to stop the oppression. All right, now comes the fun one.
Oh,
Over here, we have Danvers, a soldier in the Kree army. In the middle, we have Thanos sitting on his porch enjoying the sunset. And at the very end, we have Galactus about to have a big giant jelly donut, it looks like. Of these three, real quick, I want to take a poll. Who do you think the genocideer or genocideers are? How about number one, Danvers of the Kree army?
Just show of hands.
Yeah, show of hands. Do you think she committed genocide?
Okay.
We have one vote. Okay. How about Thanos? Did Thanos commit genocide? We have 2 votes, 3 votes. Okay. And you can vote more than once.
Yeah.
All right, Galactus. Does Galactus commit genocide? Okay. We have a lot of those.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we'll start with, since most of the votes were for Galactus, we'll examine his case. So Galactus devours planets, right? That's his job. He goes around and he eats planets. He needs their energy to sustain his life force. And he's been tasked with maintaining balance throughout the multiverse. So part of his eating these planets helps to maintain the stability of the universe. So he's really not a genocide because he's a force of nature. The consumption of planets is not done because of any of the protected groups. He doesn't select them because of who lives on the planet. And while he is guilty of killing, he's actually just taking all the energy off the planet. He's not directly aiming anything at the people. He's just sucking all the energy from wherever it comes off the planet. So technically, you can't call him a genocideer. Mass atrocity, I'll give you that. Crimes against humanity, or whatever you want to call the beings on a planet, I will get you that. He doesn't really meet the genocide standard.
Yeah, because there's the intent requirement.
Right.
No intent.
Right. All right, so we'll go with Thanos next, because he had the next highest amount of votes. And what did he basically do? He snapped his fingers, and what happened?
Half the population suddenly died.
Half the population of what?
I think it was Earth, but I don't really remember.
It was the universe. It was the universe. So that's right. Snapped his fingers, half the population of the universe. And when he was snapping his fingers and making his wish, he did not leave himself out of it. He didn't snap and say, half the universe minus me. He just said half the universe, so he put himself into the pot of who could be selected. So right there, we don't have a protected group, because he said half of the universe. So he didn't care who across the universe. He didn't care about any of their traits. He just said 50%. And then he made him go away. And his goal was to actually prevent warfare and prevent conflict over resources. It was his idea that the universe was overpopulated, and that was causing different conflicts. And so to reduce conflict or eliminate conflict, genocide prevention,
Yes.
get rid of half the people.
I would not recommend that as a strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
But not a genocide.
No, because it's not a protected group.
Right.
That's basically why.
Yep. All right, so now we get to Danvers of the Cree Army.
You get the prize today.
Yes. So initially, the Cree, or the Skrull, encountered the Cree a millennia ago. And the Cree were not nearly as technologically developed as the Skrull. The Skrull figured out early on that the Cree were barbaric, and they said, you know what, we're not going to share our technology with you. The Cree, upon hearing that, because it was sort of like a contest, like, hey, if we do certain things, you'll give us technology, and the Skrulls were like, yeah, if you can prove certain things, we'll give you technology. And the Cree, when they heard that they're not going to be getting this technology, slaughtered the landing team from the Skrulls, took their ship, and then started to reverse engineering everything to figure out their technology. Well, in the Marvel Universe, you really don't have light speed travel yet. So it took years for the Skrull Empire to find out what happened. And so then when they sent reinforcements out there, by that time, the Kree had become their equal in technology, and because of their barbarism, were better able to destroy the Skrull. And so they destroyed the Skrull homeworld, and they turned them into refugees. After that, they go on a campaign to wipe out the infestation of these shape-shifting foreigners who will infiltrate society and destroy it from within. And so it's a campaign that Danvers participated in many times to destroy the Skrull threat, the infiltrators, the vermin, the infestation, the infection that was going to hurt the Kree Empire.
And notice he said the word infestation, and remember I said before, dehumanization is one of those things you look out for. That's a good example.
So, she did kill people by targeting them. She killed the Skrulls. She did all of that. And we asked, what about following orders? Every soldier has a right in every military to not follow a lawful order. Even in World War II with the Nazis, no soldier was ever killed or imprisoned for refusing an order. So there was no threat of that. And so the soldiers tried to use the fact most of the foot soldiers, the lower level soldiers were never prosecuted, but the mid-level ones that were prosecuted said, I was only following orders, they were trying to shift blame. And the court said, yeah, but you can think. And because you made a conscious decision, you're equally guilty. Danvers is now our genocideer. I demand she give back her Marvel powers.
Okay, so let's switch gears to a video game. How many of you play Final Fantasy? Okay, so hopefully I won't have to explain too much. There are a couple of things in Final Fantasy VI that we're going to talk about. So the first one is the city of Doma. So for those of you that don't play it, Doma, it's a castle, it's in this kingdom. The people there, they're non-technological society. They support the returners, who are rebels that are fighting against the Empire. And the Empire is trying to like conquer everything, and so the Empire attacks Doma because they are supporting the rebels, and the court jester for the Empire, Kefka, poisons the water of Doma and kills everybody but 2 people. All right, so let's talk about that one first. What do you think? Who thinks it's a genocide? Yeah? Okay. So, yeah, so I guess the question is, can we think of the non-technological society as kind of being a protected group, like an ethnic, or it's a national group?
I would say because it's a national group, and that's in the convention, that takes it off. So we don't even have to look at technology. They went after a national group.
True.
And
Yeah.
they killed them.
They did, yes, and with intent. So yes, that is a genocide. The second one that I want to talk about is there is a race of magical beings in this game called Espers. They're actually from another planet, but some of them have ended up here on this world with the Empire. And the Empire experiments on them because they're trying to harness their magic, and it results in a lot of deaths of the Espers. And so when the Espers die, they turn into magicite, which holds their power, and the Empire is using that to try to conquer other people. What happens is the rebels against the returners, the rebels against the Empire, try to form an alliance with the Espers, and so they manage to get to the Esper planet. They talk to them, but when the gates are opened, the Espers come through and they kill returners and Empire alike, like lots of people. So who thinks that's a genocide? Why would you say no?
Because they're not targeting one group, they're just getting after everybody.
Okay, yeah.
I'm tempted to think yes, because they're targeting the people of that land, right?
Yeah.
So that makes them a group, and they're being mass murdered. It is in retaliation, that shouldn't matter. I'm tempted to go yes.
Okay.
I would say it's not a genocide. I'm very fond of this game, so
Okay.
I know the story very well. And the Espers didn't do it on purpose.
Okay.
They suddenly lost control of their powers when they came over to the human world, and then they were aghast at what they caused. So I would say not a genocide.
Okay.
So an accident, like an industrial accident of sorts.
Yeah. So no intent.
There was no intent.
No intent.
Yeah. Very
Not a
good.
genocide.
All right, you guys are getting it.
This is a good class. All right.
It is.
Next.
And then so the very last one is at the end of the game, when Kefka revolts against the Emperor, and he wants the power for himself, and he ends up doing some things that, in an attempt to gain power, ends up killing a lot of people. What do you think? Genocide or no? No? Okay.
Because it wasn't his intention, right?
Well, he did want to kill everybody for power.
But kill everybody, not just a specific group?
Ah, very good.
He didn't
What's our
pick.
Final Fantasy
Yeah.
expert say?
Kefka was a nihilist. I'd say he basically did it just to see what would happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So really no intent at a specific targeted group.
Yeah, he knew stuff would go wrong, but yeah, he wasn't going like, I'm going to take out these people specifically. It's just, I'm here, I have the button in front of me, why not?
Yep.
Awesome. You guys are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree. So we have a genocide and a not genocide and a not genocide.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy VI.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so the next one I want to talk about, this is anime. It's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I don't, who's familiar with this? Okay. All right, awesome. And I'm going to, full disclosure, like I don't watch most of this stuff. My daughter's trying to get me into it, so most of my information is very sketchy.
So we know who the subject matter expert she referred to.
Yeah. So just for those of you who haven't seen it, there is a leader of the Amestrian people named Father, and he is trying to create a mass sacrifice because he wants to attain godhood. And please, if I get something wrong, please tell me. So he deploys a homunculus named Envy, who is trying to start an open conflict with this other nation, Ishmaelan. And the Ishmaelans are a religious society, and they don't use magic, right? Or am I crossing streams here? Possibly.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
they abhor the use of magic.
Okay, so, well, no, anyway, so Envy disguises himself as an Amestриan soldier. He kills an Ishmaelan child, which gets the Ishmaelans mad, and then they start this open conflict. And the problem is it ends up being a stalemate because the Ishmaelans are really good at guerrilla warfare. So the father issues this executive order, and he tells the state alchemists, go to the front lines, we're deploying you against the Ishmaelans. Yes, so the Ishmaelans don't believe in magic. The alchemists are magical, and they're going to go to the front lines. And that ends up killing nearly all the Ishmaelans, and the remaining ones kind of become refugees in the world, and they face discrimination. And at the end of this, some of the soldiers kind of regret their actions, and they try to bring the perpetrators to justice, including themselves. So what do we think? Was this a genocide?
Case studies are getting harder and harder and murkier and murkier.
And this is what genocide scholars and
So I don't know anything about him. Based off that, I'd say yes it is, because they had a targeted group, and not only did they go after soldiers, they went after civilians as well.
Okay, targeted group, that meets, and killing meets
Yep.
both parts of the Genocide Convention. And we agree with that. However, can the perpetrators be the prosecutors for justice?
No.
Why?
Don't we have some bias here?
Okay, but they recognize they did wrong. They wanted to hold themselves accountable.
That doesn't mean they won't still be biased.
Yeah, that's
They might give themselves a slap on the wrist.
Very good. This is,
say what you said again.
So it's a pretty notable conflict of interest.
yes.
Yeah.
So they would say like, well, we did something wrong, we'll punish ourselves, but not so much that we can't still succeed.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So agreed, there is a genocide, and agreed that they should not try to be the prosecutors at their own trial.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, as these cases get more murky, because we're going to talk about one here in a second that's more murky, which is Magneto. That's kind of what genocide scholars and government officials kind of go through this process of
Yep.
trying to figure stuff out. So we're going to talk about Magneto. Magneto, I'm sure most of you already know this.
You want me to start with this?
Go for it.
Okay. Does everyone know Magneto's origin story? Like the first time his powers sort of came into play? A raise of hands. Nope. A few. Okay. So Magneto is Jewish. Okay. And he lived in Germany during the 1940s, which made him a targeted group under the Nazis, and he was deported to Auschwitz along with his mother and father. His mother and father did not survive Auschwitz. He did because one of the camp doctors or camp commandants recognized there was some special power. Like at the very first, that was when he was being dragged away from his parents, he threw his hands out, if y'all remember that movie, and he twisted the gates at Auschwitz. And everyone was like, that's weird. And so they started trying to figure everything out. So he's a Holocaust survivor. And then what happened?
So after the Holocaust,
He immigrates to America.
he immigrates to America, and there's these beings called the Sentinels that they go after people like Magneto who have special powers, the mutants. And
First, what does Magneto think about mutants and humans?
oh yeah, so Magneto initially he felt that humans were less than mutants, and so he felt mutants should be in charge of everybody.
The ruling class.
The willing class, and he also believed in using any force necessary to achieve that goal. Yeah, so first of all, did he advocate for genocide by saying any force necessary?
What do y'all think? Is that a genocidal statement?
Against humans?
He just said, I will use any force necessary to achieve our goals.
Yeah, I mean, it is. implying some kind of violence or violent punishment towards a specific targeted group, even though it's kind of a general specific group.
Okay, so potential genocidal statement,
Yeah.
potential announcing of his intent. Okay. So
Yeah.
what happens next?
Okay, so the Sentinels at the Genocide massacre, they kill 16 million mutants. And at that time, Magneto makes the statement, whose lives matter more? Is it, mutants or humans? And so, like, going back to a different X-Men 97, so after this massacre, then he declares war on humanity, and he actually wants to create a wasteland.
So he's actually making a declaration of war against another armed group.
Yeah.
Sounds just like basic warfare to me. It's a war.
What do you guys think?
His intent was to slaughter all of them. So I mean, there's intent there.
I agree. We don't agree on this.
We don't agree, right?
I
Sir?
would say that he is intending to target non-combatants as well, and that takes it outside of the realm of the conflict and more into a culture genocide.
Okay. That's a good rationale right
Yeah,
there.
that is a very good option.
Okay.
But he never enacted it?
He declared war. I'm not as familiar with this.
Nora.
Yeah.
Yes,
so-
no, he was not able to create the wasteland he wanted. He was not able to eliminate the non-mutants. He tried different tactics, but none of them, I mean, while they ended in deaths and destruction, it was not on the scale that he wanted. And he kept going over and over and trying to do it and trying to do it again. Would we say by a show of hands, he's probably a genocideer because of his repeated attempts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's where you have the interesting thing. He was a genocide survivor. Is it possible that this is a self-defense mechanism because he himself was a targeted individual?
Which doesn't justify.
I didn't say it did.
I know. I'm throwing that in there.
It's not really against the specific group that targeted him. It's about it's towards a generalization that doesn't really represent the people that hurt him. So it's less self-defense and more a really screwed up coping mechanism.
Oh, I like that.
I do.
I like that. But ultimately, yes, sir.
I was just going to add on to that. It was pattern recognition. Having survived
Yes.
one genocide and seeing another one forming in front of him for another marginalized group of people that he was a part of, and he wasn't going to let it happen a second time.
Yeah.
Never again. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree that this is the very sad tale of a genocide survivor who becomes a genocideer. Yep.
All right. Awesome.
All right.
So you guys are doing so well. I'm going to give you a pop quiz. This is in preparation for your final exam. So we're going to talk about the Justice League, specifically Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. So the Justice League, they find out that the planet Apocalypse is intending to come and attack them, and so they instead go to Apocalypse to try to attack them before they can come to Earth.
A preemptive strike,
A
which is a
preemptive
military
strike.
maneuver.
Yes.
Okay.
But they get really badly defeated, and Darkseid, the villain in this story, ends up killing a lot of the heroes, and the ones that don't escape, he then enslaves, and he brainwashes them into doing things for him, and so Batman actually becomes his enforcer. So then, after that, Darkseid then goes to Earth, and he wipes out half the population right off the bat. And then he starts this mining operation, which creates this ecological wasteland, which is going to end up killing the rest of the people. And so, as I said, initially Batman is his enforcer, and we'll get to him in a second. So there's two parts to this. So the first one is, did Darkseid commit genocide when he went and wiped out half the population of Earth? I
Say
see.
no, because he's just going after everybody.
Yeah, okay. No protected group.
And I would say that as the general of the planet that was attacked, I mean, remember the superheroes are going to attack his planet. I believe this is a military thing. He's not really the villain. He's the guy that's defending his planet and then taking the war back
Right.
to the planet that started it.
Yeah.
I think it's a military maneuver.
But, so by his mining operation, he like decimates the ecology so that, you know, people can't really live. Is that bringing about conditions of life, or imposing conditions of life calculated to bring about the destruction of the group?
Well, the mining
Very good.
Yeah, the mining operation was more about gaining resources from the mine itself and not about causing harm to the people still living there.
Right.
So it was more collateral damage in that case.
Okay,
Still bad.
yeah, still bad,
Still
but
bad,
yeah,
yeah. And I agree with the collateral damage, that he just wants the resources. I don't see Darkseid being the bad guy yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, he's portrayed as a bad guy.
No.
That's all I'm gonna say.
You got
I
a
mean,
bad rap.
wiping out half of humanity isn't exactly a saintly thing to do.
No.
Well, true.
No. And so then at the very end, Batman actually breaks free of this brainwashing, and he's trying to get Darkseid to release Supergirl, so he threatens him and tells him that he has mined Apocalypse with these hellspores that, you know, if even one blows up, it's gonna just take out the entire planet. Is he threatening genocide?
It's more of just a regular threat. It is targeting the planet of Darkseid, but again, it's in a sort of like self-defense to self-defense.
Wouldn't it be more of a Hiroshima kind of a move then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. And he's announcing his intention, I will destroy your planet, which is everybody on it. So you could say, because Darkseid's a different race than he is, it's got a racial component. I'm leaning to Batman being a genocideer.
But he was bluffing.
Oh.
So, if you didn't know that, but yeah.
So, one of the things we didn't cover was later on down in the Genocide Convention, you can be charged for conspiracy to commit genocide.
Ah, very good.
So,
Okay.
interesting one there where the bad guy is really kind of like the good guy, and the good guy is really kind of about the bad guy. All right, easy day.
All right.
Real
you
quick,
guys
for
are
you guys that
experts.
just showed up, we're about to do the final exam. You guys can participate if you want on the Battle of Endor.
Oh.
So, we've talked about, genocides. We've talked about mass atrocities. We've talked about warfare. What would we classify the event that took place on Endor? Is it a genocide? Is it a battle? Is it mass atrocity? What do you think?
Invasion.
Okay, why?
Imperialists invaded the Endor moon, whatever the moon was called.
Did they invade it or did they just set up an outpost? Because invasion indicates that you want to take over control of the planet for governmental reasons.
I wouldn't be surprised in the Empire.
They have a history of that, no, not gonna do that. But remember, one of my facts with the Terror Bears is they were working or living alongside the Imperials, right? The Imperials had their little outpost, and the Terror Bears were going around and doing their little thing too, and they weren't really fighting each other. There may be a skirmish here or there for food or something like that. But then you get the terrorist rebels to show up, and what happens? They incite these little murder bears against the Imperials, right? I mean, so does that change the calculus any?
I can see the wheels turning.
Yes,
Did they take the battle off Endor by any chance?
they do not.
Then it's going against a military operation, which kind of takes it out of the realm of some of those genocide definitions.
So would you agree that because of the military conflict between the Empire and the rebels enlisted the aid of the murder bears against the Empire?
I'd say yeah, probably.
Okay, which once again is still a military operation. They're seeking new allies. All right, so no genocide here, right?
For now, but I don't really remember the details.
But if you took the Empire and they wanted to kill every Ewok on that planet,
would be
That's
genocide.
genocide.
That would be,
Yes.
and that would go back with that young man when he said an invasion, and they're taking it over for resources and killing everybody. I would agree 100% that that next man next to you is a genocideer. All right.
All right, you guys.
Real quick, because I know they want another
Yes.
pattern too.
So if you guys enjoyed this, let us know what we did well, what we didn't do well, because we're trying to do this in the future. There's an upcoming project that I am very interested in, which is anime is one of those things where it tries to get people to think about the nuances of, they do talk about genocide, they talk about, oppression, things like that. So I have a very quick, it's only 6 questions survey. I'm trying to figure out how people respond to anime, I guess, and like what is their primary reason for watching it. So yeah, it's 6 quick questions. You can click on the QR code, it'll take you straight there, and it'd be awesome if you guys filled it out.
So basically, you're the first group that's seen this presentation, you're the first group that's gonna look at this. Based on the data we get from here and how you answer those questions is gonna kind of give us an idea of should we grow the research, should we grow the program and see deeper dive into the uses of anime as a potential genocide education tool. And then
And or video games,
or
but we're
video
focused
games,
on
yeah,
anime
yeah,
right now.
we're gonna focus on anime first. And also, if we didn't say the name of our organization again, it's the Center for Genocide Research and Education. You can find us on Facebook, you can find our website. If you wanna leave us a comment and say on either one of those, like, hey, we really enjoyed it, we appreciate you. We are taking a video of us, we didn't get any of y'all, your faces or anything. We're gonna put this up on our YouTube channel and on our social media and our website. We'll have the link there if you wanna go back later, or if you wanna share it with somebody, feel free to do so. Once we post the link, if you wanna start commenting on that and say, hey, that was a great presentation, or that wasn't, you might wanna look at this, you might wanna look at that, or don't do this, or do that. I just said do.
You did.
So, thank you so very much for coming to
That
our
was
panel
awesome.
today. Thank you for being our pilot test, for letting us pick your brains, for playing along, because that was fun. I learned a few things, and we hope you did too. All right, let's give it up for our newbies.
Woo!
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, yeah. We see the other group coming, and we'll take questions. We just want to give them the opportunity to get to their point.